Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. All right, you all are here. Let me stop sharing my screen. Well, that should have Capricorn. Yeah. So what you see is the testimony of Capricorn Clark on the screen. So first, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it is you all are coming from. We are going to get started today. We are going to be going over what's going on today. So yesterday we saw Capricorn Clark testify. I have a couple of videos going over her testimony. There is one on YouTube and there's one on TikTok. And so if you are so inclined, go ahead and go over those. Today, the Los Angeles Police Department and the Fire Department of Los Angeles will be testifying today. So we will go over this testimony. Let me bookmark it and make sure that things are going well. Let me share this tab. Oh no. Oh, hold on. I didn't realize we've got to find another place with updates because CNN is wanting me to pay. All right. So our new site will be NBC News. All right. As you all come in, make sure you hit that heart button. If you're on TikTok, please make sure you hit the screen, tap the screen so that I can know that you all are there. All right. We have it here. Everybody is here. All right, let's start. I like to start a couple hours later so that as we start, they'll go into lunch and then we'll come out and be on the other side of lunch. So let's see who is testifying today. So prior to testimony, let's go in here. So before the jury was let in, the judge is going to address certain things. All the government is saying is that the message showed Ms. Ventura's state of mind. Defense, that's the problem with not being able to recall Ms. Ventura as a witness. Because if you weren't familiar, after, Cassie, when she testified, was 8. She's probably a couple of weeks from giving birth. She may have given birth already. We don't even know. And so they had her testify then, and she's supposed to be off the stand. And Diddy's camp wanted to make sure that they can recall her as witness. The judge was saying, she's pregnant, she might not be able to come back. And they were saying that that's a problem because there's some stuff and things like that that they want to be able to rehash, and they don't have the ability to call her back as a witness. The prosecution says all Mr. Nash will quote it. He's making me freak off on my birthday. She didn't want to go. Diddy's attorneys. A spouse might say he's making me go to the Rangers game. I'd rather not tonight. The judge. You could have examined Miss Ventura about this, which was true. Everything that they needed to say talk to her about with that case, they had the ability to do it while she was on the stand. Judge. Every day now, I'm getting these letters. These issues should have been raised pre-trial in motions in, is it limine? So the judge is saying that there's a lot of issues that they're bringing up, it seems like every day. Hello, everyone in TikTok. Bringing up every day, and every day these are motions and things that could have been brought up in the beginning, but you're bringing them up now. And I think the judge is a little bit miffed about all of this. Hold on, y'all. Let me get my light fixed. Hold on. All right, there we go. Y'all couldn't see me. I couldn't see y'all. All right, let's continue. So they bring the jury in. And so the first witness that the government is calling is Los Angeles Police Department Officer Christopher Ignacio. All right. I gotta put their names in. So the prosecution starts with, what is a radio call? Ignacio. Someone calls 911 and it gets sent to the next available LAPD unit on duty. On December 22nd, so we find out the date because everybody was just like, in December. So on December 22nd, 2011, what was your shift? Ignacio, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in a marked police vehicle. Prosecution, what do you remember? Ignacio, got a call around 8 a.m., code 3, with lights and sirens to 8925 Hollywood Hills Road. Prosecution, what did you find there? He said, an Escalade. Because remember, Capricorn said that she was in a... Weren't they in an Escalade too? Let's continue. I memorized the license plate. Why? I thought it could be involved in a crime the way it left so soon as we got there. So that was Diddy them, wasn't it? Prosecution, why didn't you go after it? Ignacio, we didn't have a crime yet. The front door was unlocked. We went in. So they saw a SUV leaving the scene, and then they realized, they didn't have a crime yet. They just was told to come to that place. So they see Diddy them pull off. She said the front door was unlocked. We went in. Prosecution, what did you see? Ignacio, high-end watches and purses, some wrapped, some unwrapped. 2 detectives showed up. When we came out, I saw the same black Escalade now driving down the hill. Then what? Mr. Muscudi driving in a Porsche. You ran the plate of the Escalade? Ignacio, yes, it came back as bad boy records. Prosecution, no further questions. Judge, cross-examine Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele comes in. He says, this was 13 years ago, right? Ignacio, yes. You read your partner's report? Yes. Defense, Mr. Steele. The streets there are dead ends. Ignacio, according to the map. Steele, it's a beautiful neighborhood, right? Cul-de-sac. Ignacio, sure. Steele, you don't follow the car as it drives away, right? Ignacio, right. Did you see the Porsche? Answer, I don't know. Steele. Do you know the definition of a kidnapping? Prosecution, objection. Judge sustained it. Do you know the definition of a kidnapping? Steele says, uh, were you told the homeowner was in the house shortly before you and your partner got there? Objection, overruled. Steele, the door was unlocked? Yes. Steele, there was no furniture upended, right? Ignacio, no. You called it a trespass, not a burglary, right? Because prosecution objection. Judge, I think sustained. Steele, no report of theft? No. And remember, there was nothing stolen because all they did was open their stuff up and then leave it on the countertop. They didn't take anything with them. So it is likely to call it a trespass because somebody came on the property without the homeowner's permission and walked into the home without the homeowner's permission. But since they didn't take anything with them, it could be trespassing, vandalism, because again, there wasn't anything taken according to what Kid Cudi had testified. Steele, if you thought there was a gun in the Escalade, you could have put out a bolo, right? Prosecution, objection. Judge, overruled. You didn't, right? Ignacio, right. Steele, any mention of security cameras? Ignacio, I saw some. Steele, Mr. McCuty wasn't hyperventilating, right? Ignacio, he was tense, I'd say. Did you search the Porsche? Search his Porsche? Ignacio, no. Steele, it was 8:20 a.m., not 6:30 a.m., right? Ignacio, right. Steele, nothing further. No redirect. Baby, they get these people in here to ask these little questions like this, and it is just seems now. I probably there are more questions being asked, and we will go to NBC to see what they have. But this just seems so quick to have somebody fly out 3,000 miles just for them to answer a few questions and then come back. The government calls LA arson investigator Lance Jimenez. I'll place a binder in front of you. Witness takes stand. How many fires have you investigated? Jimenez, about 100 a year, everything between Manchester and dumpster fire. LA is pretty crazy. Prosecution. Did you respond as an expert to an auto fire at 8925 Hollywood Hills Road? Yes, there was a cut in the roof of a Porsche. What about inside the Porsche? Jimenez, burn patterns. Excuse me. Any items? Jimenez, a bottle on the front seat, a handkerchief burned, a lighter on the ground. What hypothesis did you draw? Jimenez, a Molotov cocktail. How did you think it got in? Someone lit it, cut the roof, and dropped it in. Now, I would have thought somebody would have cut the roof first, then dropped it. I don't know. I'm just saying. Prosecution, let me show you some photos. This is the black Porsche, what was burned, correct? Yes. Jimenez, yes. Prosecution, what kind of bottle was used? Jimenez, An Old English 800 malt liquor bottle. And the wick, a designer type scarf, silky. In my opinion, this was targeted. Old English. Old English, y'all. Child mess. The prosecution, the partial DNA profile, was it consistent with the female contributor? Jimenez, I was told that. Prosecution, do you know what that means? Do it means? Jimenez, no. Do you know if it's possible to touch an item without leaving DNA? Defense, objection. Judge, sustained. What happened to the print cards? Prosecution, excuse me, Jimenez, they were destroyed in 2012. On whose orders? Jimenez, someone in LAPD. Prosecution, not you or anyone on your team. Combs, I'm going to object to all of this. Can we have a sidebar? Judge, okay. So let me tell you what we know out here in the world in regards to this, okay? There is Little Rod filed a lawsuit against Diddy. In Little Rod's lawsuit, he said that there was somebody, when they were at the studio one day, that Diddy, one of his sons, was arguing with one of his son's good friends. They go into the back, all of a sudden you hear shots ring out. When everything kind of settled, they go into the bathroom and there is a young man on the floor with a bullet wound, right? They say Diddy security picked the boy up, took him outside, and called the police saying that it was a drive-by. Now, according to Little Rod said that the person that is heading up Diddy's security team has ties with the LAPD and that he has very good close connections with those that are inside of the LAPD. And that Little Rod had said that if things needed to go away, they just needed to ask this particular person on Diddy's security team. So I just want to put that out there because that's what we have known. Let me see. Yeah, I just want to put that out there. So I don't know if they're having that sidebar about that, but it is unusual if you have a case and there are cards that prints were taken, that these things were destroyed in 2012. Wait a minute. Now I'm questioning because this happened in 2013 going into 2014. Hold on, the year is wrong. Let's continue. Sidebar. The judge told it's a long sidebar. The judge told the jurors we're trying to sync up. Why don't we take a break? So the jury is taking a break. Combs exited too with marshals into the holding cell. Agnifilio, let me get him. Combs is brought back in. Judge, Miss Slavic, what is the purpose of getting into that? They are questioning the investigation. So we're entitled to ask this. Judge, when I heard the questions, I assumed that there was going to be a line of cross-examination about the fingerprint cards, like about DNA, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So I'm thinking of telling the jurors to disregard. Agnifilio, this is outrageous. Agnifilio, we are considering what remedies to ask for. Let me speak with my colleague. They implied that someone in this courtroom was responsible for the destruction of the fingerprint cards. Prosecution, they intend to attack the investigation. Judge, recess. So they go into recess. So, honey, where I thought that this was going to be a mundane testimony, it's getting serious in here. What is going on? Huh. So they're really hinging on this investigation. There's something. Let's go to NBC News. Let's see what NBC News says. Oh, so it was a very long sidebar because according to NBC News, y'all, Sean Diddy Combs trial live. A judge denies defense mistrial request as LAPD and arson investigations invaders take the stand. Let's go down. All right, so here we are. So the damage to Kid Cudi's car was not as extensive as it could have been because the Molotov cocktail didn't shatter as it was likely intended to, Jimenez explained to the court. He testified that the cloth fell out and that the bottle didn't break, which would have caused the gasoline inside to disperse. Jimenez told the court that the firebomb, in his experience, can cause significant damage. And they show pictures of Cudi's burnt car. Jimenez called the fire set in Kid's car inside Kid Cudi's car a targeted crime. It was clear that an attacker took a bottle of gasoline, put a cloth in it, and set it on fire and dropped it into the rapper's Porsche, according to the LA Fire Department investigator. He said that I personally felt like it was targeted, the witness said. Arson is among the acts listed in the racketeering and conspiracy allegations. The trial came to a dramatic pause when Jimenez revealed that some of the fingerprints lifted during the trespassing probe were destroyed. Because remember yesterday or even last week's testimony, they kept harping on the fact that there was female DNA, right? They kept harping on this fact that there was female DNA on this bottle. And we were talking all this other stuff. Now that I realize it was an old English bottle, I didn't know what kind of bottle it was, Coke. But either way, there's nothing to say that whoever picked that bottle up, because they probably got that bottle out of a trash can. They probably got it in the nearest convenience, wherever they got it. And my assumption is since those fingerprints didn't match, the DNA didn't match anybody, I'm assuming somebody had that bottle, they poured the alcohol out of that bottle, then they put the gasoline in it and went on about their business to do their business. So let's continue. Excuse me, I don't have my humidifier on or my fan. So I don't need you hollering, coughing in your mouth. I got to put my humidifier on. The defense argued that all testimony about lost fingerprints should be stricken from the record because the inference could be that Combs had something to do with it. And you remember what I just told you all about what was in Little Rod's testimony. What the government has done is outrageous, defense Mark Agnifilio said. The U.S. district judge agreed with the defense and struck mention of the lost fingerprints. So that's gone, but you can't unhear it. Defense moves for mistrial, but gets swiftly denied by the judge. Combs' legal team moved for a mistrial, accusing the prosecution of misconduct over the implications that Combs may have destroyed the fingerprint evidence. It's really not out of the scope. However, it doesn't sound like the prosecution set it up the best way they could have. That should have been questions because he is the Los Angeles Fire Department. They should have asked those questions of the police department. But then again, let's continue. Judge Sabramian ruled that the testimony from the arson investigation later would be struck, but Alexander Shapiro, on one of Combs' attorneys, said the jury would be left with the impression regardless. Prosecutor Slavic argued that there were good faith questions regarding the investigation into the firebombing of Kid Cudi. Now, this puts a little kink in the prosecution's case because you need the arson to tie up this RICO case that you have. And that was the big deal in regards to going in here was the burning of Kid Cudi's car. So if the investigation into that is stricken and the jury can't even talk about it, that bombs your case. Y'all should have asked better questions. So this is a huge blunder by the prosecution uh, into the investigation of firebombing of Kid Cudi's car. The judge denied the motion for mistrial, saying that there was no objection on the line of questioning up until that point, and no testimony that was prejudicial in any way, shape, or form. He added that it was plausible to raise the fingerprints card during their direct questioning of witness because the defense was likely going to bring up the fact that the evidence in the investigation was destroyed. Jimenez testified that he wanted to interview possible witnesses who were connected to Combs, but was greeted by silence. He especially wanted to interview Combs' girlfriend at the time, Cassie Ventura, and assistant Capricorn Clark, but they never returned his phone calls or answered the front door when the investigators knocked in person, Jimenez says. Jimenez testimony could go to the government's obstruction of justice allegations against Combs. Interesting, but they interesting because Cleopatra, I don't know why I want to call this for Cleopatra when her name is Capricorn. Capricorn did testify yesterday that Diddy told her that it was her responsibility to make sure that Kid Cudi didn't testify and that they did not testify or they will all be hurt. So that is interesting. Interesting. They got that in. A single black driving glove was found in the backseat of Kid Cudi's car, Jimenez told the court upon cross-examination. Jimenez testified the glove belonged to Kid Cudi and that it was not sent out for testing as part of the investigation. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilio asked if the person who dropped the Molotov cocktail in the Porsche was potentially wearing a glove, which Jimenez said it was possible. Jimenez failed effort to interview Clark even led to a verbal confrontation with the assistant's brother, the witness said. The LA Fire Department investigator testified that he could not reach Clark in Ventura, but Jimenez went a step further at the end of his testimony, saying Clark's brother forcefully told him over the phone that she did not want to be interviewed. Jimenez says Clark's brother made it abundantly clear that she wanted nothing to do with his probe. Deontay Ganache, a stylist who worked with both Combs and Cassie Ventura, was called to the stand. Cassie testified earlier in the trial that Nash was a friend and that he was present when Combs allegedly attacked her, causing her to cut her eyebrow when she hit the corner of her bed. Let me go back and see if I can remember that. I think that was her direct testimony, because I'm trying to figure out if that happened when she was with what's her name? Kylie Carey. But let's get to his testimony. Let's go back. And so we're very much aware that there was there's all right, let's continue. And so we're going to continue with the inner city press transcriptions. They should have ended with the fingerprint cross was destroyed, but they asked, did he authorize it? There's no way to unring this bell. The only proper remedy here is a mistrial. Prosecution, that's absolutely unwarranted. Prosecution, it was Mr. Agnifilio who wanted to inquire about the DNA into the investigation. Your Honor can just say that the jury should not draw any inference from the destruction of the fingerprint cards. Judge, application for mistrial is denied. I'll sustain the objections when raised. The jurors have already been told that the questions are not evidence. Shapiro. Your Honor should tell the jury that the questions were improper. Prosecution, they weren't improper. You could say disregard both. Shapiro. Will the court tell the jurors that the answers are not to be considered? Judge, I will tell them that the questions and answers on the fingerprint card are irrelevant to this case and not to be considered. All rise. And then he proceeds to tell the jury that, and it says, did you interview the owner of the Porsche? Prosecution, to Jimenez. Jimenez, Scott Muscuddy. Prosecution, did you reach out to others? Jimenez, I reached out to an assistant because apparently when he interviewed Kid Cudi, I'm making the inference that Kid Cudi named Cassie and Kid Cudi named Capricorn. I reached out to an assistant. Jimenez, her name was Capricorn. I'm going to object. Judge, rephrase. Who did you reach out to? Jimenez, Capricorn, and Cassie Ventura. Prosecution, did Capricorn respond or assist? Jimenez, no. How did you reach out to Cassie? Jimenez, it wasn't able by phone, tried through a family member. Prosecution, did you reach her? Jimenez, never. Prosecution, were charges brought? Jimenez, no, but I never closed the case. It's listed as inactive. And so if they get any information in regards to this case today, okay, TikTok is bothering me because I got a message saying that it's filtering your comments. And as I go through the comments, no one has left a comment that needs to be filtered. All right. How did you reach out to Cassie? Okay, we read all of that. So the judge, cross-examination, agnophilia. There was a DNA hit on the glass bottle for FEMDNL, correct? Yes. Do you remember when the results came back? Jimenez, maybe 6 months. Agnophilia, test on the bottle. It was important. Jimenez, yes. Agnophilia. What does it mean, partial DNA female? Jimenez, I have no idea. I was told if we had a suspect, we can test against it. Agnophilia, any other DNA on the bottle? Prosecution, objection. Judge, rephrase. Agnophilia, DX852, just for the witness. Agnophilia, that's a glove, right? Jimenez, yes. Did you find another glove? Jimenez, no. Did you test the glove for DNA? No. I understood it belonged to the owner. It was a driving glove. Agnophilia, your premise was the Molotov cocktail was dropped. Did you think the person who dropped it would have worn a glove? Jimenez, perhaps. Agnophilia, it would have been hot. Jimenez, only the wick. So in other words, I guess when you're handling the Molotov cocktail, unless the wick touches the bottle and while it's burning, the bottle is not going to get hot. So I turned the comments off for a few minutes, maybe to see if that would what that would happen to this thing over here on TikTok, because it seems like every time I go live, they have an issue or a problem. And again, this is my 4th live, and every live seems to have had an issue or a problem, whether it's somebody who wants to join and I'm not taking any host or anything at this time, but I've noticed that when I had a couple of people that wanted to join as host and I denied them, as soon, not even a minute later after I denied them, my live got reported. So if you're coming in and you'd like to join as a host or a guest, I'm not taking any host or guest. So don't take it as an offense. Again, I am just learning how to do this TikTok. So I'm not adding anybody. So don't take it as an offense or anything like that. Later on in my TikTok journey, I may add people as a host if I decide to ask people as guests, because some of you all seem to get your feelings hurt so bad if you don't get what you want when you want and how you want it. I'm quite sure I couldn't go to your live and try to do what you want to do at your live. So please just take that as it's not an offense. It's just that I am not ready to take on any guest or any host at this time. All right, let me finish. Agnophilia, the damage. It's on both sides of the bottle, right? Jimenez, it looks like it. Defense. Did Mr. Muscati have more than one Porsche? Jimenez, I think he had a second one in the garage. Agnophilia, why isn't it in your report? Jimenez, it was not involved. Defense, you were unable to reach Capricorn Clark or Cassie Ventura. When did you reach out? Jimenez, in the first few weeks. Agnophilia, are you sure? Tell us everything about these calls. Jimenez, I believe Capricorn's brother answered and we disagreed. Agnophilia, and once Mr. Muscati told you it was his glove, you didn't investigate the glove anymore, correct? Jimenez, I did not. Agnophilia, nothing further. Judge, redirect. When did you speak, prosecution? When did you speak with Mr. Muscati? Is it Muscati or Muscati? Muscati. Jimenez, same day. Prosecution, nothing further. Next witness, the government calls Deontay Nash. Are you here under a subpoena? Nash, yes. Do you want to be here? Nash, absolutely not. What's your work? Nash, celebrity stylist. Prosecution, in 2008? Nash, for Puff and Cassie. Prosecution, how'd you get hired to work for them? Nash, through a Craigslist ad for Bad Boy Entertainment. Prosecution, this photo, is it fair and accurate portrayal of how you looked at that time? Nash, not even close. Prosecution, it's a glamour photo? Yes, I look amazing. If you don't big yourself up, who's gonna big you up? Prosecution, how often would you witness Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura interact? Nash, at least once a week. Prosecution, what did Mr. Combs call Miss Ventura? Nash, ooh, bitch, hoe, cc, baby girl, slut. He would call an outright hoe a slut anyway. How did she react? Nash, sad. Ladies, y'all got to realize when a man calls you out your name, it's one thing to have a nickname like CC or baby girl, but when he's calling you a bitch, a hoe, a slut, he don't like you. Those words, and I don't care what y'all say, are not terms of endearment. They're not terms of endearment. They are not terms of endearment. And if you all can casually call your significant other, your friends, and all these things, these names, they're not terms of endearment. They're absolutely not. Prosecution. Did Mr. Combs make threats? Nash, yes. That he would beat her ass. That he'd send her sex tapes out. Prosecution. How often would he say he'd beat her ass? Nash, quite a few. It drove her crazy. She would be super emotional. She might stay in the house for days. Prosecution. How often did Mr. Combs say you could not go out without his permission? Nash, twice. The first time we went to a gay club with Kyle and Adrian. Then we went to her LA apartment. Puff called and told her she better bring her ass to his house. She panicked. Prosecution. What did you understand Mr. Combs was saying? Uh, Xavier Donaldson. Objection. Judge, overruled. Now, you all have to understand, I think Diddy has about 8 to 10 lawyers over there. And so I know that Agnafilo is the main lawyer. Then he has Alexandra Shapiro. Then he has Brian Steele. Then he has Mr. Donaldson. Then he has Westmoreland. Then he has Garagos. And those are the 6 that I've heard him say. But I think he's got 6 to 8 lawyers over there. Judge, overruled. Nash. She packed her stuff and went to her house. Prosecution. Did you attend a Vanity Fair party? Nash. Yes. Oscar after party in 2014 with Cassie. Puff was there. How did she look? Nash. She looked bomb. Her hair was... Donaldson. Objection. Judge, overruled. Her hair was long. Puff picked me up and threatened me. I pinned her hair up. Prosecution. She record music? Nash. Often. Prosecution. What was your role? Now, he's her stylist, and he says this. I help pick songs. I probably should have been called an executive. An exec. Donaldson. Objection. Judge, sustained. Prosecution. Her mixtape. Was it ever sold? Nash. No, it was put out free, but it did well. A top download. Wow. She did all that work. She puts out a mixtape. And instead of selling, y'all let me know. I'm gonna have to let me know in the comments over here. Do they sell mixtapes? Hello, Dominique. Hello, Tina. Do they sell mixtapes? Because that seems like a lot of effort and a lot of work just to give it out for free. I know artists do it all the time, but she was in a 10-album deal. She was in a 10-album deal. Let's continue. Prosecution. How much did her music was released? Nash. I'm being generous to say 10%. Prosecution. This would be a good place to break. Jurors, you may break. Jurors leave, then Nash. Judge. Ms. Comey, what he'll say about 2013 is not about the tapes. Answer, no. Judge, okay, I'll break. Oh, goodness. So let's see if there's any more information. We're going to go to let's do this. Let's listen to
today 2 law enforcement witnesses. All right, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here outside the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, we're halfway through day 11 of U.S. versus Sean Combs. Today, 2 law enforcement witnesses, one from the LAPD and one from the fire department. The fire department witness, Jimenez, gave rise to the first, I believe, mistrial motion by the defense. Here's how it went. The prosecution was trying to sort of defang the idea that there was a partial female positive on the bottle used to burn Kid Cudi's car. So they went into then the fingerprint cards and they said, didn't these get destroyed? Yes, in 2012. And were they destroyed without your knowledge, Inspector Jimenez? Yes, they were. Would it have been normal for you to have had to approve the destruction? Yes, it would. So basically, it was immediately a sidebar and then a motion by Alexandra Shapiro for a mistrial, saying that the jury had been left with the impression that Combs had used connections in the LAPD to get the witness cards done. The judge said not so much. They never heard that, and the questions are not evidence. But he did give a curative instruction, saying not to consider not only the answers, but even the questions about these fingerprint cards. Whether this is going to show up in an actual appeal to the Second Circuit, well, I guess that would have to depend if there's a guilty verdict. But it's been defanged, and now there's a guy called DeAndre Nash. He's a stylist. He's kind of sassy. So he's an interesting witness because he says things like, "Oh yeah, that's the bomb. She was the bomb," or "I look great." He's going to testify in the afternoon. Apparently, that Cassie told him she didn't want to. She was made to freak off on her birthday. There's already been some discussion about that. I'm going to Inner City Press this morning. In the first week we filed with Judge Subramanian saying that too much stuff wasn't going into the docket, and now it's going into the docket. So we get a little preview of these issues. But there was no preview of this fingerprint card imbroglio. So there's that. During this lunch break, I went and caught a sentencing. Judge Swain, 90 months for a guy for gun trafficking and drug dealing, and he's going to be deported at the end of the 90 months. So.
You're saying that mixtape was dope. Mixtapes are normally used for promotion. Interesting. Okay. Because I'm like, all of that work and the stuff doesn't even come out. But of course, she never did another album. So I guess, yeah, all that stuff worked and nothing else came out. Sad. I hope we haven't caught up because they should be back. Let's go here. Because Deontay is on, they take a break. But let's go to NBC News. Let's go to NBC News and talk to Deontay Nash, a stylist who worked with both Combs and Cassie Ventura, was called to the stand. Cassie testified earlier in the trial that Nash was a friend and that he was present when Combs allegedly attacked her, causing her to cut her eyebrow when she hit the corner of the bed. She told the court that Nash jumped on Combs's back in her defense because Combs was trying to attack her. Combs allegedly threatened not to release Cassie's music. All right, I'll say this again. For those of you all that are trying to come up as a guest or trying to do as a host on TikTok, I'm not taking any host or any guest at this time, so please don't do that. It's nothing against you. I'm just not ready to do that. So no, I won't be taking any guest. I won't be taking any host at this time, okay? The celebrity stylist testified that he spent time with the couple and that quite a few times Combs would tell Ventura he wouldn't release her music anytime. She said something Combs didn't like. The singer was under contract with Combs with the record label with, here it goes again, a 10-album deal, but only released one full studio album in 2006. Nash also testified that he heard Combs threaten Ventura's parents sometime around 2012 or 2013. Interesting, because we hadn't heard that. While he was sitting next to her in a car. So they're done for lunch. We've got a new update. Just before the break, Nash recounted an incident that allegedly showed how demanding and controlling Combs could be with Ventura. They all attended Vanity Fair's famed Oscar party in 2014, and Ventura wore her hair stylishly down, which Nash thought looked great. But Combs disagreed, picked up Nash by his jacket, and demanded Cassie's hair be up, the witness testified. Nash says he quickly got some hairpins and put Ventura's hair up before Combs remarked, "I was right. It looks better up." Interesting. So they're saying that they're back before jury and witnesses. Nash bought it, but prosecution, we want to show Mr. Nash a photo of this afternoon's witness, Mia, without the screen in the gallery showing the photo. So Mia is going to testify now. If we're not familiar with who Mia is, Mia was an assistant of Sean Combs, and I do believe she is mentioned as a victim as well, because apparently, I think he assaulted her and possibly arred her. I'm not sure, but we're going to get that testimony. I think her testimony is going to be key, and again, that builds up that racketeering portion of the case. Okay. I think we have caught up, y'all. I hate when we caught up. So so for those of you that are just coming in, I'm going to go back over the testimony that we've had today so far. So far, we've had Christopher Ignacio. He's from the LA Police Department. He testified that a 911 call came in a little before 8 a.m. Talking about a break into a home. He said when he arrived to the home, there was a black Escalade, and then that Escalade sped off. He says when he got there, a black Ferrari pulled up. They went in. He said that there was nothing missing. He says that he noticed that there was like watches and rings and things like that, packages, Christmas presents opened, and some of them weren't open. He said there was no furniture tossed upon cross-examination. He said he didn't notice any furniture tossed or anything like that or anything missing. That was his testimony. Then we had the testimony of Lance Jimenez, who is a from the LA County Fire Department. He talked that he was called to Kid Cudi's home because there was a fire, a firebomb. I think the fire came. People put the fire out. He said that when they started to investigate the car and everything like that, they did show the pictures. He said that they found a bottle and they called it a Molotov cocktail. He said that on that particular bottle, they did find female DNA. He didn't know exactly what that meant. He said that he was told that if they found a suspect, they can match it against that suspect. He also said that the bottle used was an Old English 800 malt liquor bottle with a very expensive silk scarf in it. He said that if the bottle would have burst, that there would have been more damage to the car. He said that he felt like it was targeted via that people who usually do Molotov cocktails. It's usually a targeted act. So he went there also because of what he was talking about. They asked him about a fingerprint card, and that testimony was struck by the judge. They also wanted the defense wanted a mistrial because they were talking about the fingerprint card being that had gone was destroyed, and no one knew why it was destroyed because it's still an active investigation. It's still an active investigation, but it's inactive because there is no movement on it. But the judge denied the application for the mistrial. He just said that the jury couldn't use that information, consider that information given. And the reason why it was so important, in fact, and I'll go back and I'll repeat it. Little Rod has a lawsuit out against Diddy. And Little Rod filed this lawsuit probably about a month after Cassie filed hers. And one of the things that he talked about in that particular lawsuit was the fact that somebody on Diddy's security team had connection with the LAPD. And the reason why Lil Rod said he understood that somebody on Diddy's team had connections with the LAPD. He said because when they were doing a recording session, so a friend of one of Diddy's sons, Diddy and the son got into an argument. They were in a back room, which was like a bathroom. They said that shots rang out, and then you find the young man who had been shot, and Diddy and his son walked out of the bathroom like nothing had ever basically happened. They picked the young man up. People went to go tend to him. They ended up picking the young man up and putting him out on the streets, calling the police, saying, "Oh, well, it was a drive-by." I think in Little Rod's thing was like everybody knew clearly that whatever happened to him happened in the bathroom. And he did take pictures of that. He did subsequently take pictures of that. But they said that whoever it was on the security team sat down and had conversations with the police, and then they went on about their business and treated it as a drive-by. All right, let's see if they've come back with more testimony. Nope. They have not come back. 12:16. Yeah, I didn't think we would catch up this quick. I thought they would have more questions for the LAPD. So let's read some of the questions underneath here, because I see this little talking about the drama. Time for more drama, because yesterday's testimony was drama. We need to know who Mia. So Justice for Robert Book says, why not just get to Mia? I get building a foundation and slow walking the dog, but most of these witnesses end up on the stand for so long just for them to repeat the same things and then redirect. Believe me, Mia is an alias, and her name is being withheld for her personal protection. It's my understanding that there's one more victim who will testify as a Jane Doe as well. The same blueprint used to lock up R. Kelly is the same style being used to lock up Diddy. No one can beat this case. And Rose here, she makes an interesting point. She says, it's not like the courtroom won't see her. It's not like the courtroom won't see her, but I guess they don't want it out until she's on the stand. So that's an interesting thing. Now, one of the things that what makes that comment interesting to me is the fact is that one of the charges that under this RICO, one of the charges, I think that's under the WICO that has been talked about with Diddy is obstruction of justice, because they said that he's been calling and tampering with witnesses. They say that he did that with Kalina, who was in Dirty Money with him and Don Richard. Hey, Sheed. Let me go back up. Hello, Donna. Just being real. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Sean has put his hand on many people. And, it's interesting that he does. But I do remember there was one person that matched his energy, and they say it was J. Cole. And I'm wondering what kind of smoke he has for J. Cole. Let's get to the enablers too. The one that sat back. Yes. And that's part of the RICO, is that he wields such power that when he was committing crimes and everyone saw that he was committing crimes, he had everybody so scared that they wouldn't join in. And I mean, look at Capricorn Clark. She testified yesterday that she witnessed him stomping, and we know that that testimony would be considered to be true because you have that Intercontinental Hotel video where he was stomping and kicking that girl. So that was something that is something that was a signature of his, to stomp her, to kick her. And that she said that she couldn't testify because she said at that point in time she had an NDA, and he had also subsequently blackballed her. So you have all of these little instances of stuff going on that he's a menace. He was a menace. I don't have any information on that, because as far as I understand, the information in regards to Tory Lanez, there was no new information. They had y'all out here basically just to put up a frenzy about it, or to keep the information in. I don't see him getting out. I don't see him getting out. Now, if he gets the governor to pardon him, that's on him. Good on him. But as far as I am concerned, he needs to serve his time. He's been in 2 years of a 10-year sentence. Maybe with some, I hate that he got shanked in prison, but maybe in a couple of years, or maybe this could be something that he can get a compassionate release. And if he gets compassionate release, and if they can talk with Canada to make sure that he stays on that side of the border and he doesn't come back, and that they can make sure that he's not he can't harass Megan Thee Stallion. Any name Megan, any name Stallion, any name Pete, any name, he could, get some words banned from his computer and his phone. And he, like I said, and he stays in Canada, he doesn't get to come back here. That would be great. Hey, Sheed. We would love to hear it too. But here's the kicker. The middle part, right before, so it may have been in the spring of 2023, but way before Cassie filed her lawsuit, Biggie was going back and giving people their catalogs. But in order for them to have the complete control of their masters and their catalogs, they had to sign NDAs that they would never say anything bad about Diddy. So their information would be interesting, because I believe he knew that Cassie was, I think that they were in negotiations around that time. And like I said, I think he knew Cassie was doing that. So he did a preemptive strike by saying, okay, because I'm not making any money off their masters anyway, I can give them back their masters. However, the trade-off is they're not allowed to say anything. And if you remember back, Aubrey O'Day said that her group, Danity Kane, she was explaining to them not to sign that contract and not that NDA, because that would not make them be able to talk. And so she made mention of that. And he tried to pin that as like, oh, well, she's salty with me. We've had issues, or whatever he was trying to, way he was pinning. But I think it was preemptive. I think he thought that if I show Cassie that there's nobody that's going to talk, because remember, and I am of the belief that it's true, because Capricorn Clark testified how he blackballed her in the industry. So we just got to keep in mind about that he was making a preemptive strike, but he didn't believe that Cassie was going to do what she was going to do because, again, he felt like he still had some levels of control over her. But he didn't reckon with the fact that she went to counseling, she went to go get healed, and he didn't reckon with the fact that his tactics no longer worked. He didn't reckon with that. Now, is she still in love with him? I think that there is a level of something in there, but I do believe that it's not enough to reconcile all the stuff that he's done. Listen, I am sure. However, if the prosecution wanted to, and I'm really not sure at this point, because Total was way before Cassie's time, if I'm not mistaken. Now I believe 112 was around that time. If they wanted to bring somebody in just to show how Diddy conducted business, that might be something. That's another thing. Yeah, hold on. And see, this is what's interesting to me over here on TikTok. Because the people that are trying to join my live, they're not even in my comment section. There's somebody named Chocolate Boy that was trying to join my live. He's not even in my comment section. And those of you all that are here, would y'all please hit that screen? Please hit that screen. Tap the screen to make the likes go up. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't even see this. I don't see these people even in the live. So I will say it again. I am not taking any host or bringing up any guest in my live on TikTok. All right. And again, Donna, I believe that they have more than a mouthful to share. They can probably tell the business, but I think that they're trying to keep this case as clear and succinct as they can, because the judge has a specific timeline. They are way ahead of the timeline, but still, if they have more time, maybe they can add more artists. But I do think that NDA that he had people sign is keeping people from doing any of those things. Yeah, they were before Cassie. They would need, and to be honest and truthful, Cassie's information possibly goes to help give us historical background for the RICO, but her case with the DV, with the with the assaults, with the all of those things. I believe the statutes of limitations have run out on most of those things. I don't know about the transportation for the intimacy with physical touch with the prostitutes are, because they did all of that up until what, 2018, somewhere in there, because they were still doing freak offs up until 2018. So that's in keeping of it. So I think that that's what it is. And I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, please hit that like button. I really, really appreciate it. Now let's get back to this. Let's see if they've added anything other than this exacting case, because we haven't gotten any updates. So I don't know what's going on in the courtroom. And that's why I hate. Let's go back. Let's refresh. All right. It looks like we got something. So as the judge says, bring in Mr. Nash, and then the jury. All rise. So the prosecution asked Mr. Nash, how many times in person have you witnessed Mr. Combs be violent? Nash, quite a few. Prosecution, this is a sealed exhibit. Without saying her name, Do you recognize this person? We'll call Mia. Nash, yes. What were you and Mia helping Cassie pack for? Nash, the OVO Fest in Canada. Prosecution. Who came to the door? Nash, Puff. He said, BITCH. Didn't I tell you to answer your phone? Then he dragged her by her hair and hit her. Prosecution. How hard was he hitting her? Mm, mm, mm. Let's see if we've got any updates. We don't have any updates from NBC. Excuse me. So he is describing the violence that he has seen. And I'm wondering, did he pay him any money not to say anything? Donaldson, objection. Judge overruled. Nash, very hard. We ran to the bedroom, but Puff pushed it open. He continued to attack Cassie with his fist. Prosecution. What did you do to try to help Cassie? I jumped on Puff's back. He threw me off. Mia too. So they in there just squabbling. Squabbling. And so we'll wait because he just updated that a minute ago. We'll give him a little time to update. Let's see. Pam, what do you think about, what are your thoughts on Gina that she didn't show up for court? Did you see Gina interview on YouTube? Did she interview recently? Like as the trial is coming, or was this an older interview? The reason I got a question, an answer. I guess my answer would be more focused if I knew that information. But what I would tell you about Gina, the way I see it, I see that she probably had some damning information, but the prosecution was banking on the fact that they had more people, because I think I think she had good testimony. However, I also think Gina seems to me, from the information and the things that I've seen her on, she is an opportunist and she is probably on to her next. You let me tell it. I think, and I also think that Puff paid her. I think that Puffy paid her here recently, or got to her real recently. And again, he could have done that through attorneys. He could have done that through um, his telephone calls, because there was a telephone call that he had with his sons where they were talking in code about, make sure you throw the pizza out, make sure you throw the pizza away. Now Puff at that point had been in lockup for months. He's been in lockup for months. So what is he talking about? Making sure you throw away the pizza, making sure y'all get these certain things in order and stuff like that. So I think that there was some code spoken on those jailhouse calls between him and his sons, that I think that they understood what he was meaning to say. And that was for them to figure out what to do with Miss Gina. And probably any of the other witnesses that they believed that was going to testify, because this is why the prosecution doesn't announce the witness that are going to testify until like the day before, because they're saying that Puff is they're saying that Puff is out here trying to get to the witnesses. Y'all give me one moment. Hold on, because we're just going to wait for them to, but just one moment. Let me take a quick break. get on here and try to do that. Let's see if that'll help. If not, if that doesn't help with the people trying to that are coming through trying to join as hosts, after I've said it probably several times that I don't need or want right now to have hosts, if that doesn't stop it, then I'm going to have to stop the live so I could go in and figure out how to cancel that until I'm ready to use that feature. Okay. All right, let's continue. Oh, it was an older interview done? Okay. Yeah. Gina's in the wind. I think they have paid Gina because they can't get in contact with her. They can't get in contact with her attorney. I think Gina has I think she is taking some funds and she has gone about her merry business, y'all. Y'all just might as well she's not coming and they're not looking for her to come. This is why they were banking on the fact that they had Cassie on there, they had Jane Doe, they had Mia, and then they had Gina. So I'm quite sure that the prosecution is going to be able to, is saying that they're going to be able to prove their case without Gina. So maybe they thought Gina was the big linchpin, but no, Gina was not. All right, let's continue. Nash, Cassie's head hit the bed frame. She was bleeding, but Puff continued hitting her. Prosecution, where was Mia? Nash, getting towels. Prosecution, what did Mr. Combs say to you, Mia, and Cassie? Nash, he said, look what y'all made me do. He said, she gotta go to a plastic surgeon. Now you done sat up here and beat this girl to oblivion, and now you just complaining because she has to go to a plastic surgeon? Prosecution. With who? Nash, D-Rock. He was Puffy security. So then again, you've got these security officers out here doing the bidding for Puff. Now remember, after 2015, Puff changed to a more professional security team. But prior to that, he had D-Rock, he had Ruben, he had Uncle Polly, and somebody else. I can't remember the fourth person. Prosecution. After that, when did you see her? Nash, the next day. FaceTime or something like that. She had a gash in her eyebrow. Prosecution. Were you once cooking with Cassie when Mr. Combs got violent? Yes. Puff came. What did Mr. Combs say? Nash. He said, y'all better get out of my house. He was grabbing her by the hair. He pushed her out the door, then began to do the same to me. But I don't have hair. He popped me. He told me to go downstairs and wait. Oh, what happened? Oh, y'all, they show a picture of the gash. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Oh. And if you are part of the Black community in America, I'm going to say it like this. Y'all, that gash was down to the white meat. Combs threatened Ventura's career, witness testifies. Combs was not shy about threatening Ventura's career if she didn't behave exactly as the music mogul wanted, Nash testified. Remember, uh, George Kaplan testified. No, not George Kaplan. David James testified that, according to what Puff had said, he overheard Puff say, he says, I have Cassie right where I want her. She's young and she's moldable. So now you're having this witness say Combs was not shy about threatening Ventura's career if she didn't behave exactly as the mogul wanted, Nash testified. The witness recalled Combs telling Ventura that if he heard her from her smart A mouth, then her little mixtape won't come out. Nash was in Cassie Ventura's apartment helping her prepare. I'm reading from NBC, helping her prepare for a music festival when Combs allegedly arrived and assaulted the singer, Nash testified. Ventura previously mentioned the attack in her testimony 2 weeks ago. Nash told the courts that Combs was enraged as he grabbed Ventura by the hair and began to kick and hit her, because kicking is his signature. Kicking is his signature. Nash said that he and Mia, known as victim number 4, each tried to jump on Combs' back but were thrown off. Combs continued to hit Cassie until her head hit the edge of her bed frame and began bleeding, Nash testified. Prosecutors showed photos of Cassie's bloody eyebrow when she testified regarding this incident. So we did show those pictures. So I apologize if that was a jump scare for those of you all are watching. But those were the pictures that were shown. So let's go. They came down and Puff was berating us. As we drove off, we got a phone call. Donaldson, who is Combs' attorney. Objection. Judge, new question. I wonder what kind of phone call he got as they were driving off. Judge, new question. Prosecution, call from who? Nash, Puff. He told us to stop and he came to the window. He said he put her sex tapes on the internet. You know, as I listen to all of this, and you all let me know in any comment section that I'm looking at, this is not looking good for Puff because of the fact that Puff is being seen as just mean for no reason. He's just being mean, just being mean. She's trying to do whatever she needs to do to try to get away. And I think the thing that a lot of people have asked that question, why didn't she get away? Why didn't she do that? Now, statistics and studies have shown us that it takes a DV victim up to 7 to 8 attempts before they leave. And even in those attempts, the abuser is doing things and saying things to them. And so he is holding, and we can say this, and we can say this with all certainty and honesty. In the beginning, Cassie wanted to do those freak offs. She said it out of her mouth. We're going to believe what she says. But there was a point in time where she did not want to participate. He used violence. He used threats of putting these tapes out. He used alienation and isolation. And he threatened not only Cassie, he threatened her loved ones and people that worked for her and worked around her. And I know a lot of us are just getting so caught up in the salaciousness of the types of sexual activities. But I will say this, no one can tell people how to do it, but it all has to be consensual. You can't be beating somebody to let them do that. You can't be holding their careers over their heads so that they will continue to do that. You can't beat them into submission like that's been going on. And then when she decides that she wants to leave, when she decides all these little different things, here he comes. He tells y'all to stop y'all driving down the road. You tell her to come back, or I'm going to release the sex tape. I'm going to release it. Y'all, two things can be true at the same time. Somebody can be an individual with so much great talent. Now, I couldn't tell you that Puffy had good rapping skills or anything, but as far as someone who operated like a mogul, who was able to get deals turned around and get things done and things like that, Puffy was great. But this mess, that how he was acting behind the scenes, a damn terror. And again, and it has been said a long time, you don't get to this point of being a billionaire if you hadn't stepped and knocked on a few heads. And that's just real. Whether you may not, some of these billionaires may not have put a hand on anybody, but that doesn't mean that they didn't threaten people, that they didn't harass or use the court systems against people. You have done some dirt to get to where you're at. And I don't care. There's no one that could make me believe anything different. There has been some dirt that was done for you to get to the positions that you're into. And that's just real. And it's sad to know that people had to go through this. And what's not sometimes, but what's sadder to me is people are so obtuse. They're so into their moral and value stance. Well, she shouldn't have done the freak offs. Well, she shouldn't have. You're so into these moral and value stances, and to the point where you're so into those things, you're co-signing all of this. So it was okay for her to beat him. It was okay for him to threaten her with releasing these tapes. It was okay to do all these things. Absolutely, positively not. We all make sometimes terrible decisions, but we have to learn how to, we have to learn how to, when we make those terrible decisions, say that we've made those terrible decisions, work to do better to make those, to try to get those terrible, work around or to move forward from those terrible decisions. Sometimes that means that you can't be around the people that you used to be around. Sometimes that means that, you got to talk about the bad dealings that you've done. But to be so focused on these freak offs and disregard all the stuff that's happening and then try to culminate it, because even as I'm looking right now and looking at the defense of it all, it's like, oh, but y'all loved him. Y'all wanted to go back. Y'all loved him. I'm sorry, but aren't most abusers somebody that you have a relationship with and quote unquote you love? Is the loving part supposed to make it right? Let's continue. Let's see if we got some more information. Nash. Puff said that he'd send her sex tapes to her parents' job and get them fired, that her brother was a bitch and that he only protected her. Prosecution. What did you tell her? Nash. That Puff is on the sex tapes too, she said. He's not. He was taping with her and other men. Prosecution. What did she say about wanting or not wanting to have sex with other men? Donaldson. Objection. Overrule. Nash. That she didn't want to. I drove her to Sunset Boulevard to get a taxi. Why? Nash. Uber wasn't really a thing yet. And she went home. He probably was there. Nash. Puff came to my house looking for her. He looked in my oven. I'm not sure why. Puff took my phone and Cassie called from a hotel. Puff said, let's go there. Bad boy staff stayed there. Prosecution. What did Mr. Combs say? Nash. He said, go get her. Nash. I went to Cassie's hotel room with D-Rock and Tony. She jumped up. She was frightened. She said she would jump off the balcony. Lord, have all kinds of mercy. I went to Cassie's hotel room with D-Rock and Tony. She jumped up. She was frightened. She said she would jump off the balcony. Prosecution. How high was it? Nash. It wasn't the first floor. Downstairs, I saw 4 or 5 of Puff's security waiting. Oh, I don't like to hear that. Y'all, I'm about to cry. All of that so that you can get your sexual proclivities on? Y'all, I don't like that. Oh my gosh. She's so scared and she's feeling trapped. She's going to want to jump. Oh my goodness. But let y'all tell it. Well, she wanted all that fame. Yeah. She probably wanted fame. She wanted fame and the love and the lights when you do concerts and stuff like that. But nobody wants their head knocked between the washers and dryers. To have a gash in your head above your eye that now is permanent. To have to run away from somebody who's threatening you to come back with tapes because he wants to take those tapes and send them to your parents' job so that they can be fired. And you send your security to go get her to the point where she's threatening to jump off a balcony. Holy ho. Puff told me, Nash, you played me. I drove off, but Puff security followed me. I turned off my lights and drove really fast. I went to the Universal Sheridan. Prosecution. Did you go home the next day? Yes. I found my backpack was stolen. It had $1,000 in it. Prosecution. Why did you keep $1,000? Nash. So when Puff was mad, I could check into a hotel without giving my name. Prosecution. What happened in 2015? Nash. I saw Puff slap Cassie in the face. He said, get this B out of here. Prosecution. What did you do? Nash. Got her out of there. This is so hard to at least. This is too much. I need to bookmark that. I need to bookmark some of these things. Because she confided in him about what was going on and why he was releasing those tapes. Because again, people didn't understand at that point, and a lot of people still don't understand that these quote unquote freak offs, as we say, has to do. He does these things to people that he says that he's in love with or he wants to control. Prosecution. The Perfect Match premiere. What did you see? Nash. Cassie had a black eye. Prosecution. When was Mr. Combs violent with you at a music video? Nash. Yes, I was outside smoking a cigarette. Puff came and threw me on the car and started choking me out. Y'all, let's see what's going on over here in yep, they talk about Combs threatened to release sex tapes to get Cassie parents fired, Deontay Nash says. Combs once threatened to release sex tapes of Cassie Ventura to her parents' workplace and the internet, the stylist said in his testimony. Nash told the court that he was at Ventura's apartment when Combs came over and grabbed Ventura by the hair, ordering Nash to get her out. He testified Ventura eventually got in her car and they left, but that Combs called ordering them to pull over. Combs then came to the window, angry with Ventura over something, and told her that he would release sex tapes of her to the internet, according to Nash. The music mogul said he would first release them to her parents' workplace to get them fired. Ventura cried as they drove away. Nash said, and then the stylist tried to reassure her by telling her that Combs was on the tapes as well. Nash said that that's when Ventura told him that Combs wouldn't be on the tapes because he was filming her with other men. And remember the testimony from David James. He said that Diddy said, and I quote again, I have Cassie right where I want her. She's young and she's moldable. Nash. Puff said, y'all keep going out. Prosecution. Did you report anything to the police? Nash. No, I was afraid of retaliation from Puff. Prosecution. Did you get anyone on the staff? Nash. Christina Coram. And they keep mentioning with KK because KK seems to know all this stuff that's going on. But she seems to be making sure that Diddy is plied with drugs and all of this other stuff. She seems to know all of this stuff that's going on. And people keep reporting to her, and she is not as a because again, Bad Boy Entertainment is a company. Diddy may run the company, but Bad Boy Entertainment is a company. What did she say? Nash, that she would talk to him. But what was that talk going to do? Mm, 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 mm. Everybody knew, and you can't tell me, y'all. You cannot tell me. And like I said, I don't have any proof of this. But y'all, You can't convince me. You cannot convince me. There's no way that you convince me that by this time, everybody and their grandmama knew that Cassie was getting her behind beat. I can't tell you if everybody and their grandmama knew about the tapes, but everybody and their grandmama knew that Cassie was getting her behind, getting her head knocked between the washers and the dryers. You know this. Everybody knows this. And can you imagine, with all the people knowing this, from the security staff, from the stylist, from her best friends, from staff, personal and executive assistants, his friends, his people in the music industry. Everybody knows this. And regardless of what level that you fall under in regards to your tolerance for stuff like this, y'all can very bet, you can rest assured. And like I said, I don't have any proof on this, but she was considered probably a laughing stock. So you have people who are probably ha ha he he laughing about all of this. You have people who co-signed all of this. You have people who didn't care because they were getting paid or making money for all of this. Y'all, she stood. She was at a point where she rather jump that she rather jump. He used every tactic that he could to keep her in a place where he can continue to do these things to her. And like I just said earlier, you take the sexual proclivities out of it. I think a lot of times people tend to harp on that because as a grown adult, you can do, as long as everybody is consenting and it's, you know that they're consenting, y'all do whatever it is y'all want to do. I just don't understand people who think that this type of behavior, beating on people, that it's okay. We all are out here. We are not professional boxers. Those people get hit. That's why they make a lot of money, because they're getting hit. But to have your life reduced down to freak off beatings and lies is absolutely outrageous. But there's a lot of you all that think, well, he was buying a Louis Vuitton and Gucci. She should have been happy. Really? Did she look happy? She has legitimate people scared for her, but they can't do anything because this man wielded a level of power over a lot of entities that they were working with. You got a whole personal assistant, executive assistant, that testified yesterday that he blackballed her. You have this young man talking about how this man had his people steal $1,000 to keep him in check. He's seen what Puff can do. And Puff is so bold with it, he chokes this man out. And then y'all get on here, on these apps, questioning people, particularly women, questioning women, why we don't want to have conversations with you out in the wild. We just want to do our business and go on back home. Well, how y'all gonna get them in? You got these types of folks running around here, and don't miss me. I don't know anybody that does that. I don't know anybody that's rude to women. This is craziness. And it makes you so sad. And what makes it sad that there are people that are experiencing this, and there are no puff. They're not puffies. They're the Travantes with the unkept wicks and the pants hanging off their tail, dirt up under their fingernails. And living at their mama's house. I think I lost my spot, y'all. Let's go back out. All right. So the last thing that I read is that Diddy talked to Christina Coram. That's KK. That's Diddy right-hand woman. She said that she would talk to him, and she knew that he was putting Cassie in between the washers and dryer. There was no way that she couldn't have seen the gashes and the cuts and the bruises and the swelling. So when we talk about co-conspirators and how come we don't see anybody at the table, the reason why you probably don't see her at the table is because she struck a deal. The reason why you probably don't see D-Rock and Ruben and Uncle Paulie and all of them at the table is because they struck a deal, because they knew how complicit they were in all of this. Why don't you see Harve Pierre and all of those people? Why are they not sitting at the table? Because they probably struck deals. What do they call it? Unindicted co-conspirators. They weren't indicted because they probably struck deals. Because the prosecution said, we want him. And the kicker about that is that these people were complacent and they've struck their deals. Y'all, they'll get out here and go work with somebody else and do the same doggone thing. Let's continue. Did anything change? The prosecution asked, did anything change? Nash, no. Prosecution, how often did you help Cassie hide? Nash, often. Prosecution, what did Mr. Combs do? Nash, he would blow our phones up. KK would too. She would say Puff was calm, that Cassie would go back. Again, This is the same type of testimony that we got from Cassie. This is the same type of testimony that we got from Kid Cudi. This is the same type of testimony that we got from what's his name? George Kaplan. That when he wanted something, he would continue to call and call, incessantly call. Incessantly call. And then when his calls wouldn't go through, he would have a security call. And if those calls didn't go, he'd have his assistants call. And again, you remember Cassie said that he was calling to the point that all those things weren't working. So he had her manager at the time call her and say, if you don't come back or if you don't call Puff back, they're not going to release your album. They're not going to release your mixtape. They're not going to release your video. They're not going to work on this anymore. And here's KK, complicit KK, saying, oh, Puff was calm now. Really? He's calm. Come back. Obviously not. If you're blowing up the phones mean you consistently call. I consider 15 to 20 calls in an hour blowing up a phone. And you know he was doing more calls than that because he was getting other people to call for him. Let's continue. The prosecution. Did Cassie tell you she was going to a hotel with Mr. Combs? Nash. Yes, weekly. She would pack sex toys. Prosecution. Did she say she wanted to go? Donaldson. Objection. The judge overruled because she's talking directly to him. Nash. She said she didn't want to go. Prosecution. Her 29th birthday. Tell me. Nash. Puff asked me, should he surprise her on her birthday? Prosecution. What did you say? Nash. Girl, I was not about to tell him not to. Let me that. Because I wasn't using the proper voice. I wasn't ready. Nash. Puff asked me, should he surprise her on her birthday? Prosecution. What did you say? Girl, I was not about to tell him not to surprise her. And I know there had to be laughter in the courtroom. I know there had to be laughter. Prosecution. Did he use the word freak off with you? Nash. Not like freak off, more like freak off. Like a verb? Yes. Prosecution. Where did you go after the blind dragon? Nash. 875 Comstock, like 17A, Puff said. You're going to get some DICK tonight. Prosecution. What did Miss Ventura say? Nash. That she didn't want to go, but he made her. They left the house. She was super high. Again, corroborating testimony about Cassie saying that she was using the ketamine because she disassociated. Prosecution. New Year's Eve 2017. Where were you? Nash. Vegas with Cassie and the staff. All on the same floor of the hotel. Puff's rooms is at the end of the hall. Prosecution. What did Mr. Combs tell you? Nash. That Cassie had been asleep for 24 hours. I had to wake her up. Prosecution. Did she wake up? Nash. She woke up for me. So in other words, she was playing possum. She was trying to sleep to make sure she didn't get messed with Diddy. Prosecution. What did Mr. Combs say? Nash. that he spent all this money, so she had to. And then there was a low budget producer, and he laughs. I don't understand that. Let's go to, okay, so their update 7 minutes ago. So it says Nash didn't report the violence he witnessed against Cassie Ventura to the police because he feared retaliation from Combs, he told the court. But Nash testified that he did speak to Combs' chief of staff, Christina Quorum, about the issue. Quorum promised to speak to Combs, Nash said, but the violence didn't stop. And so I don't know exactly what happened here. This is not full. This section where it says, what did Mr. Combs said? He said that he spent all this money, so she had to. Then there was a ... low budget producer laughs. Okay, so we don't know. So prosecution, how many of your meetings with the prosecutors did you end early? Nash, probably all of them. Prosecution, did you stay in touch with Mr. Combs? Nash, yes. Prosecution, what was your tone? Nash, loving. Prosecution, why? Nash, I don't hate him. It's not in me. Prosecution, no further question. So they're into a break right now. Cassie Ventura, now this is information from NBC News. It says Cassie Ventura expressed that she did not want to go to the hotels with Combs to participate in the FOs, but would go because Combs wanted her to, Nash testified. He told the court that Ventura would pack the X toys and be gone for a day or more, returning tired. One example Nash gave to Ventura's not wanting to go to F-off was after a FO was after a birthday celebration that Combs insisted on throwing for her. He said Ventura did not want to leave, but said that Combs was mad at her for not going to a hotel for an FO, Nash said. Ventura previously testified that she eventually left her party with Combs and gave in to his demands instead of going to a karaoke bar with her friends. Now, I don't know because, they usually stop at 3 o'clock. And it says here that they are on a break. So they could be figuring out whether or not that they can ask these questions if the defense has all these questions to ask. Because it doesn't look like they're going to get to Mia today. Because they've spent a pretty good time with Deontay, and Deontay has come with a lot of testimony. He has given a lot of testimony on how Diddy did violence against Cassie. He has talked about how Diddy has controlled his staff in regards to Cassie. He talked about how he used coercion with the beatings and to releasing the tapes to her parents and her parents' job. He talked about how Diddy was ready to use violence against the contractors and the staff that he paid. And even when you told the people who were there to be of assistance, like KK, there was no assistance coming for this girl. And so, do you think that it ended with Cassie? because they've got a Jane Doe. They have someone named Mia. And we know that the FOs continued because Young Miami was getting involved in them. But the difference between Young Miami allegedly is about that life. Completely about that life. Everyone knows about it. You know she probably did. They all thought. They're going to always, because again, you know, with and again, you know, I don't get into any of these gender wars like they do on these certain apps, but there is just a societal thing that for women, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you act like a hoe, then you're blamed for being a hoe. If you don't act like a hoe, then you're blamed for not wanting to satiate or satisfy a man's needs. He's got to know all this information about you. He's got to get, he asks you for something, you're supposed to give it willing, regardless of what status this person has in your life. See, there's men off the street that believe that if they come and they ask you for something, that you're supposed to give it to them. And then they use the tactics of fear and shame and humiliation to see if that's going to work to get you to give it to them. Even when you talk to men and you talk about consent, they swear they don't understand it. Now, again, you know, you have to get on here and say some men, not all men, because, you know, people get to be real obtuse, not like they don't understand what you're talking about. They swear they don't understand because, you know, she said no with a smile. That don't really mean no. She said no. She looked like she meant it, but she didn't. Because why would she walk away from me? She wanted me to see her booty. That's why she did it. See, they swear they don't understand now. They swear they don't understand. Hey, would you get away from me, please? I need for you to go. They don't understand that. They swear they don't understand it. They don't understand what they talking about. That's not consent. That's not any. They don't understand it. These beautifully heterosexual men, they don't understand it. But you let a rogue gay man, a booty bandit, who wants it when he wants it and how he wants it, you let that man come up and stand behind that beautiful heterosexual man. They understand consent all day long then. Wait a minute, what you doing? You need to get out from around me. No. Y'all just full of crap. Y'all understand it. But you feel like with the people who you're interacting with, that they don't have the power enough to be able to tell you no. You understand it real good. You just want to be obtuse and think you're gaslighting people that you don't understand. You understand? Beautiful heterosexual young men and older men and middle-aged men, You understand completely. But see, those tactics of shame and humiliation that have been used against women for a very long time, those things still work. And hell, there's other women that do it. We don't, but nobody understands what's going on. And see the difference in between with ladies and with women. See, they love women love shame and humiliation as well. There's like a caste system over here. Because if you visually look a certain way, there's some of us as women that have been violated and no one has assisted or helped us. And so we think, well, because I made it from A to B, I'm okay. She'll be all right. They can violate her. I don't care. She'll be all right. As long as it's not me type of attitude. There's some of us over here on this side, ladies. We are so tunnel vision and focused that we have to have men. We have to have a man. And your worth is dictated on your proximity to a man. That y'all will be in competition with your grandmama, with your mama, with your sisters, with your best friend, or who you say are your best friends, and with your children. You have to be the center of that attention. And if you're not the center of that attention, that's because every woman is hating on you. See, these are these very male-centered women. And they'll tell you, I don't have no girlfriends. I don't have no that. I don't have that. I don't like to be around them. They want to always be around you as men. And you don't see them being as, oh, they're not, they just such for, oh, honey. They got to be, whatever group that is, they got to be the center of that attention. And they will seek that attention, good, bad, or indifferent. Let that little group that you have be 4 or 5 guys, and then there'll be a girl in there. She's fine and dandy as long as she's the center of the attention. It doesn't necessarily always have to be sexual. She's fine and dandy as long as she's the center of attention. But you let one of those people in that group get a girlfriend. And see what havoc is raised. Y'all don't want to listen to me. Y'all don't want to hear me. Let's see if we've got some more information in. Who did this? Can y'all see this? Do I have this up? Hold on. Who did this? Who? OMG. Emily, Call of Diddy. Oh, I'm gonna have to like that because that's funny to me. This, if they would have made this baby, y'all, I'm looking at y'all on TikTok. I am looking at this meme, and it's for if you're familiar with the game Call of Duty, they got Diddy. It says Call of Diddy instead of Call of Duty. It says Call of Diddy, and then they have him with a gun, but it's made out of a baby lotion bottle. Y'all are not right. Y'all are not right. Let's get back up here to see if there's nothing else. Because again, it is 2:42 in New York in the court. All right, let's see what we have. Before the jury back, prosecution, this witness has a flight back to LA tonight. We will rebook if we have to, but if we could stay a little later and finish with him, I know he'd appreciate it. Judge, I think we can. I told the jurors we might stay to 4. Jury interest. Okay, so they're going to keep on, so we're going to be able to get the cross-examination from this young man. So let's see. All right. When was this? Okay, so give them a few seconds. So let's go over here to the two updates. Nash told the jury that he kept in contact with Combs and doesn't have any ill will against him despite all that he's witnessed. He called the regular text messages exchanged with the defendant loving. I don't hate him. And y'all, this seems to be a theme and a pattern that's going on with a lot of these witnesses, from old assistants to people who he has transported across state lines, even from Cassie herself. The only person on here who stood on business that she can't stand Diddy. Trying to get the friend's name. Carrie Morgan. Carrie Morgan is the only person that has stood on business and said that she can't stand him. The only one that stood on business and says she can't stand Diddy far as she could throw his behind. But everyone else has this sense of endearment, and that is because he is very charismatic. That won't be denied, but behind that charismatic exterior is an evil heart. And a lot of that probably is also fear. I think it's fear. If we really want to get the truth about it, I think it's fear. Let's see if we got some more information. All right. So we have the judge telling Mr. Donaldson, we might stay to 4, Mr. Donaldson. Donaldson, how he asked Defense attorney Donaldson asked Nash, how are you? Nash says, blessed. Donaldson, when he met with the government, you had an attorney present? Nash, yes. Donaldson, the subpoena didn't mean you had to go to their office. Donaldson, right. So if you all are here, let me see how we're working. So those of you that are on TikTok, please hit the screen, tap, tap, tap the screen to let me know that you're liking the live. I appreciate it. Tap to your heart's desire. So I have 152 of you watching on X. Make sure you hit that heart button for me, and please leave me a comment. I have for those of you that are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me. And for those of you that are watching me on Twitch, do whatever it is you do over there, but just do it. Thank you. I appreciate it. So he's at this moment, Deontay Nash is being cross-examined by the defense. So real quickly, as I have you all on all these platforms, just and you all can answer at one time. I truly am asking this question. I'm truly wanting several of you to what do you all feel about from what we've read? What do you all feel about Deontay's testimony? And for those of you all that watched yesterday, I'll ask you also as well, what do you feel about Capricorn Clark's testimony? I'm going to put the graphic up. And shout out to Nate the lawyer, because this is his graphic. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, let me get that big. And so if you were reviewing Deontay's testimony today, and these are the indictments, 13A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. These are the 13. These are the listed crimes attached to these indictments. And then these are the predicate categories, meaning these are they have to prove one of these two categories over here under the RICO predicate to be able to prove RICO. They only have to do two. So again, if you're watching me on TikTok, I will read them out for you. So 13A is under the indictment. The crime was kidnapping plus variations. The RICO charge would be the RICO predicate is kidnapping. 13B is arson and attempt and conspiracy, and under RICO is under arson. You have 13C is the third indictment. There is bribery of a witness plus attempts and conspiracy, and under RICO that's bribery. 13D, witness tampering. Under RICO that's under obstruction of justice. 13E, that's forced labor plus aiding and abetting in this forced labor. Under RICO, that's forced labor or trafficking. 13F is X trafficking and aiding and abetting in X trafficking, and that's X trafficking under the RICO predicate. And then we have the indictment G, which is the prostitute and the transportation in the indictment of the prostitute, and it's transportation for means of forced mix. And then under 13H, you have illegal mood enhancers plus the conspiracy or mood enhancers distribution plus the conspiracy of the mood enhancer distribution. And they call that trafficking of the mood enhancers. So these are the things that the prosecution is trying to prove. Now, I've said it and said it before. 13G, the transportation of folks, a person over state lines for the explicit for prostitution and those things. I believe that the prosecution has proven that. So that's a separate charge, plus it's a predicate in the predicate category under RICO. I think that they've proven that. Now, they have proven that there is a lot of drug use and that all the participants in the FOs more than not used a lot of the mood enhancers. I'm a little wishy on that. Are they saying because he acquired the mood enhancers and then because there was someone who testified that well, it was the assistants. The assistants testified that that Puffy would direct them to go get the mood enhancers and then for other people. So whoever was present within a party or whatever it was, he would often instruct his assistants to go out and get the mood enhancers for that party, for him, and for other people who were partying with him. So if from what the testimony that I've heard, if that's what qualifies under that RICO statute, I think that the prosecution has proven that. But they didn't say who they were giving the mood enhancers for. There was never told who that other person was. The trafficking of the X trafficking, I'm not so sure about that yet. The bribery, that's from the Intercontinental Hotel, and also I think that that's from Carrie Morgan, the friend too, because those two incidents, money was involved or exchanged. The arson, I don't know. We know that it happened. We know that the people, and I think this probably falls under the obstruction of justice because, he had, according to what Capricorn stated, that he made it very clear that it was her job to make sure that Kid Cudi didn't speak about anything or say anything about him to the police, or her and everybody else was going to be in trouble, or he made threats to them. So I read all those things. So if you've been following the trial and following all the testimony, just put down there which one you think that the prosecution has proven. So for those of you all that are watching on X and those of you all that are watching on YouTube and Twitch, you could just put the indictment number. So you could do 13A, 13B, 13C, D, all the way to 13H. All right, so let's see if any more information has flooded in. All right, so we're in the cross-examination, and let's get to it. It says, Donaldson asked Nash, "You hired a civil lawyer, Mr. Dunn, to represent you considering litigation against Mr. Combs?" Nash, "No." Donaldson, "Does this document show that?" Nash, "It's their assumption, but no. I have counsel to protect me. I don't do federal court." And as a lot of us say, we don't play in court. None of us plays in court. We don't want to have to be there if we don't have to. Donaldson, on March 10th, 2025, did you not tell Ms. Comey that you were considering a civil complaint against Mr. Combs? Nash, no. Donaldson, DX 1800, that must be an exhibit. What is this? Nash, Cassie in the video for the mixtape. Donaldson, and 1801. So I guess DX says is defense exhibit 1800. Donaldson, and 1801. Nash, Cassie, and Usher. Nash. This is the 2016 Bad Boy Reunion show. Donaldson. Did you pick out that dress? Nash. I don't remember. Donaldson. You didn't start as a celebrity stylist. It was that Mr. Combs introduced you to Cassie, right? Nash. I met her, Mrs. Fine. I wonder why he made a point to call her Mrs. Fine. Let's continue. Because it seems like everyone that has testified has had counsel, and not that I blame them, but it looks like everyone has had counsel. What time is it? So I guess that was a dig to let them know that she's now that we call her Mrs. Fine. He told the government, so according to Lawyered Up, I'm gonna put up the little heart. He said, told the government he was considering a civil suit, denies it. Means that the prosecution wrote down wrong. Yeah, jury will believe the prosecution over Mr. Nash. So this is the picture that they showed to him. DX 1800, 1801, actually. So this is Cassie at the Bad Boy reunion. Look like a Polaroid. We're just waiting for some more transcripts to come out. So it doesn't look like they've added any information. But everybody in the comments seems to be getting a tickle about him saying Mrs. Fine. Okay, so there we have a picture of Deontay Nash right here. All right, you have a good evening, Donna. Okay. Combs Donaldson. So, Mr. Combs, who made you a celebrity styler? Nash. Sure, go ahead. Donaldson, I am going ahead. As a celebrity stylist, you pick clothes like for Mrs. Fine's wedding? Nash, yes. Donaldson, do you know Groovy Lou? Nash, yes. Who is Groovy Lou? Groovy Lou. NBC doesn't have anything updated. Oh, yes, they do. It says here Cassie Ventura gave birth yesterday, roughly 2 weeks after she took the stand as a witness in Sean Combs' federal sex trafficking trial. A source familiar with the matters confirmed to the NBC. The baby is her third with her husband, Alex Fine. Ventura announced the pregnancy in an Instagram post featuring black and white photos of their family, including the couple's two younger daughters. So she had the baby yesterday. Congratulations to her. What's today? So May 27th. I told y'all when she was there, she was heavily pregnant. So did they say? Hmm. Congratulations to Cassie. They are moving slow with the information. Okay, so here is a picture of Groovy Lou. This is Groovy Lou. Don't know what his importance is in all of this, but he was asked, did he know Groovy Lou? We're just waiting for information from the transcript. Hello, everyone. Let's go back. And for those of you all that have subscribed to my channel on TikTok, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And those of you that are in the live, please hit that like button for me. Just tap the live. I'd appreciate it. See if I can get to 3,000K. Just tap until I can get to 3,000K. I really appreciate it. Hmm. Let's go out here. All right. It says, Mr. Donaldson, as head of Bad Boy, was it in Mr. Combs' interest that his artist Cassie look good? Nash, I suppose. Donaldson, and Bad Boy paid for Cassie's studio time, right? Nash, yes. Donaldson, Miss Ventura can't go to the studio under unless I guess unless Mr. Combs pays. I'm not sure where he's going with all these questions, because he first stated that he talked about I guess maybe Mr. Nash should know his place as as a stylist, maybe. Thank you for getting me to 3,000 over here on TikTok. I appreciate that. 3,000 likes. I really appreciate that. Y'all are this mighty, mighty team in here, and I appreciate it. And if, because I see, I don't know, Colonel, let me see. Unless, all right. It doesn't seem like anybody in the in the Twitter thread is understanding where the defense is going, and it must be something, because Inner City Press hasn't typed anything in about 4 to 5 minutes, and he's a little bit much quicker than that. Interesting, interesting. So while we've got some downtime, and again, those of you all that are watching, I am serious about you all at least trying to let me know. Let's look back at this graphic. And again, thank you so much to Nate, the lawyer. He is the one that supplied this graphic. What do you all think? Which one of these indictments do you all think that the prosecution has proven? Y'all put it down in the comments for me. If you're on Twitter, hit the live chat. There is a live chat, and you can definitely chat through there. If you click the video and then go down, and there's a where you can click for the chat, the comment, and make sure you click it so that it'll say live chat, and then I can see that comment on the screen. I don't know. Hold on here. Excuse me. I'm so sorry that I popped so hard. Let me see. Let me see if this will help. Can y'all see that on TikTok? Excuse me. Y'all, I apologize. All right, so let's go in to see if there's any more information. Let me refresh the screen. Mr. Donaldson asked Nash, what is Young and Reckless? Nash, a streetwear clothing brand. Cassie owns a part of it. Donaldson, Mr. Combs has nothing to do with it. Nash, he had to approve everything. Donaldson, wasn't Brianna Bungolian involved? Nash, as a stylist. Where are we going here? Okay, this is cute. This is cute. They're showing us an image. Let me change. Hold on, y'all. I'm showing off. Here we go. This is supposed to be the streetwear that Cassie is a part of. Interesting. 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 It says here December 1st, 2024, Brianna Bana Bungolian has filed a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, alleging that he dangled her off at a 17 floor balcony at where? Here we go. Says Sean Combs accused of dangling a woman over a 17th floor balcony at Cassie's apartment. And that's the friend that she was talking about. Fashion designer Brianna Bana Bungolian is seeking $10 million in damages from the disgraced mogul. And this was back in December 1st. I'm wondering if she's another victim. Let's look this up. Oh, so this was September 2016. So let's read this article. So let's go while we're waiting, because they mentioned Bana, and so let's see who this person is. Let's share this tab. And so what I'm doing is reading from People Magazine. It's an article from December 1st, 2024, written by Bailey Richards, and it says as following. Sean Diddy Combs accused of dangling woman over 17th floor balcony at Cassie's apartment. Fashion designer Brianna Bana Bungolian is seeking $10 million in damages from the disgraced music mogul for the emotional distress she claims she suffered at his hands. In a new lawsuit, Bana accuses Sean Diddy Combs of groping her and dangling her over the balcony of Cassie Ventura's apartment in 2016. Bungolian also alleges that she observed signs of Combs' abuse towards Cassie and said that Ventura suffered terror and abuse at his hands. She filed a 17-page lawsuit against Combs, who is currently awaiting trial. The fashion designer is seeking $10 million in damages from the disgraced music mogul for the emotional distress she claims she suffered. Bongolian, who first befriended Ventura when they worked together in 2014, claims that while she and her then girlfriend were sleeping over at the singer's apartment in September 2016, Combs approached her on the balcony after loudly entering the apartment in the early morning. He grabbed her, turned her back to his chest, molested her by her groping her breast as she yelled to be left alone, the lawsuit claims. After she began to struggle, Combs moved his hand from her breast to her armpits and placed her on the banister of the 17th-story balcony while repeatedly yelling, "Do you know what the F you did?" Bongolian, who is 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighs about 100 pounds at the time, attempted to resist him throwing her weight back in a struggle not to be thrown to the ground in what would be likely her death. Said he slammed her on the patio furniture, and she still doesn't know what she did. Good Lord. But apparently he was high on them drugs, maybe. But still, how you come in? Donaldson, who else were you styling? Styling for the 2016 styling for in 2016? Nash, Cassie, Puff, Mace, and Lil Kim. Donaldson, major artist. And on the mixtape, you were executive produced, but got no credit. Meek Mill was on the mixtape. Nash, yes. Donaldson, Pusha T. Nash, yes. Let's see. All right. So basically, what it looks like they're doing, they're just going back in to try to get some, because they first caught him up saying that he wasn't going to sue Diddy. But I'm like, if he hadn't put in a formal, if he hasn't put in a formal complaint, then the answer would need to be no, because no, I hadn't put in one. No, I hadn't said I was going to file. And that's true. So I'm reading a tweet by Lawyered Up. It says, again, wrong fight by Nash. If Cassie owned part of it without Diddy's involvement, then it shows Cassie's independence and ability to earn income without Diddy. Thus, the financial control argument will be weakened. Witnesses should be just witnesses and not try too hard. All right, so let's share this tab. And this is what I just read. And for Colonel Kurtz, says, those of you who keep saying the defense sucks, they are methodically probing weak spots and they are making some points. Now, I don't know what you put this, but maybe it's going over your heads. I don't know. Remember, the defense has not presented a case yet. So some of these questions are setting up for that down the road. You're not going to get a Johnny Cochran moment every day. And that's what I said. I've said before. these types of trials, whether they're state or whether they're federal, they are just monotonous. Again, this is not Perry Mason. This is not Matlock. This is not Law and Order SVU. They're not going to solve it within the first 2 or 3 witnesses. And I know a lot of people were looking for those freak offs to be something else. But so far, the only thing we've seen with those is they were between Diddy, Cassie, and whoever they hired for the night. I don't know exactly what that means for all the people that are filing lawsuits in regards to that. I don't know. We will see, because maybe there was something else going on. But right now, what the feds are looking at, they're not moving towards that direction so far. They're basically showing what Diddy does with the people that are in his close proximity. All right, here we go. Nash, can I take a break? Judge, yes. Jury leaves. Mr. Donaldson, how much more? Donaldson, no way. I'll be finished by 4. Judge, did you know that before I told the jury it'll be 4? Donaldson, I didn't know. Well, we'll go to 4. Prosecution, I'll rebook. So what we'll see is that Deontay is going to be on the stand until tomorrow, because they're going to be going over all of this information. And I don't see at this point, I think this would be a good time, if the judge is so inclined, this would be a good time to just go ahead and break. What time is it? I think it would be a good time for the judge to break. I'm going to have to make it a good time for me to break, because I see that I have to do some travel time. So I need to go ahead and because I only had a plan to be on here to 3, because that's what they had said. So what I'll do is I can definitely catch up on this particular. Let me go ahead and bookmark this place so I know where I was. Excuse me. So I know where I was. All right, people. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. We will continue. We'll definitely continue up Deontay's testimony on tomorrow, because he's going to have to testify tomorrow. So I'll pick up what he says today, the end of today, and then I'll also will pick up tomorrow. It looks like I may have to go back to noon. So that will be 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because it looks like we're catching up quicker. Yesterday was a good testimony. I went at 11:30, and we didn't really catch up until maybe like the last 5 minutes, and then we just waited for this. But I don't want to have all this dead air. So what I'll do is tomorrow I'm going to come back, and we're going to start at 12 noon Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I will put up a thumbnail for those of you so that you can see the thumbnail. TikTok, I may not be able to do you tomorrow. I have to probably do a recap right after. So look for that recap. All right, people. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye. Bye, TikTok.